Hey y'all, this is Utopian Icon. I decided to start recording a league. I played a match already and then realized, maybe I should record this because I've been saying I would do this for the last like million years. Never got around to it, but I think I'm gonna do it now. So I am playing Blue White Spirits. I've been off and on Spirits for a while, just trying to figure out where this deck actually wants to be. I've always been in the opinion that this is like an aggressively medium sort of thing to be doing in Legacy. It's really close. I've always felt like it's almost there. The advantage of this is that your idiots all disrupt the opponent. I don't know why I highlight Spectral Sailor. Your idiots all disrupt the opponent. Mausoleum Wanderer is much better in Legacy than it is in Modern, which might be hard to believe from Modern players because this card's really good in Modern too. But in Legacy, it's insane. Rattle Chains is insane in this format. Skyclave Apparition is one of the better removal spells, I guess, you can play. It's nice and flexible. It's lost some stock since Prismatic Ending came out, but it's still a very good card, and it's on Tribe here, which is super nice. Sottle is, still the king after all these years, if it was ever really the king, but stopping people from drawing more than one card each turn. Turns out, good. Plow is good, Daze is good, Force is good. These are all cards you know and love. Vile, obviously good. Wasteland, Cavern, again, cards you all know and love that Spirits gets to play because you're a tribal deck and you've got Vile in your deck. You get to play a couple of basics, which is nice in a Delver format. You also get to play this new card here, Cemetery Illuminator. If you're not familiar with this, it's got a lot of text on it. So it exiles a card when it hits play or when it attacks, and you can cast a card from the top of your library if it shares a card type with something you've exiled with Cemetery Illuminator. Now, this allows Spirits to actually generate card advantage, which is something this deck was really lacking before. It didn't really have a super great way to actually draw cards. If you wanted to draw cards in Spirits, you were limited to like Spectral Sailor, real weird camp stuff like Kami of the Crescent Moon, just a Howling Mine. It's not ideal. You can do pseudo card advantage stuff with like Spirit of Labyrinth and Gyre Reach Sanitarium, which is like or whatchamacallit, the Kamigawa land, not Minimo, the one that's two tap draw a card, each player draws a card. I don't remember what it's called right now, but that card. But all that stuff is bad because it requires many cards that you can't tutor for. So none of that stuff was ever playable. If you really, really were desperate to draw cards, you could splash green for Edric, Spymaster of Trust. That was pretty good in Spirits, but then you can't play Spirit of the Labyrinth. But then you also get to play Brainstorm, and that's kind of a different deck. That's just kind of like Noblefish the Musical, and that's not really what we're doing here. You could also splash red for Venerable Warsinger, which is a new card from Strixhaven that kind of went under the radar because it's not very good. And it's a Vigilance Trample dude that reanimates a creature with it's a power or CMC, don't remember the top of my head, equal to the like the amount of damage it deals to an opponent that turn, combat damage, which is cool. It was fun against Baleful Strix because if you had a Lord effect out and you attack and they blocked with the Baleful Strix, its trigger could reanimate itself, which was kind of funny. So when it's a 4/4, it would deal 1 damage to the Strix, 3 to your opponent, and the trigger would see that it's in the graveyard and it could reanimate itself. That was really funny. Got to do that a couple of times on Magic Online, but I never 5-0'd with a Jeskai Spirits list, even though I got pretty close a couple of times. Eidolon is also just a good card that you can play in those decks, but like if you're playing Eidolon, you're not playing Daze, you're not playing Wasteland, you're not playing basic lands, you're on absolute abhorrent evil mana base of just total garbage, and you're just never ever beating a card Wasteland. And given that Delver's the best deck in the format right now, beating Wasteland turns out kind of a good thing to be doing. So, surprise, that deck's not really playable either. But I think now that Lelia is on Magic Online, I think there is actually a little bit of emphasis to maybe go back to Jeskai Spirits. I think that might actually be fine now, but I haven't really explored that yet. Every time a new set drops, I kind of do my check. It's like, is Spirits playable again? Can I do this? Is this like a thing that is allowed to exist in the format yet? And generally speaking, the answer is no, but it's often pretty close, and I still think Spirits is a good FNM choice. Like, you can bring this deck to an FNM and you'll do fine. You have a bunch of good matchups against a lot of the unfair nonsense, and you're generally pretty good into non-blue stuff. Like, my matchup against, like, Maverick, when that was a thing, was always pretty good. Matchup against, like, Depths variants is pretty good. Your matchup against, like, combo variants of pretty much all flavors that aren't, like, Red Painter are good. You have a lot of great disruption for pretty much anything that's unfair. You're a Vile deck against Prison. You've got Force. You've got 2-drops. You've got all kinds of great stuff going on there. And you're a Tundra deck, so your sideboard options are always pretty great. Speaking of which, moving to the sideboard, I'm not playing Prismatic Ending. I am just playing regular Disenchant. Not because I own 7th edition foils and paper and they're pretty, but that's kind of why I'm playing Disenchant. But, you know, we still kind of want this sort of effect. 2-mana Stone Rain for Urza Saga is still good, turns out. Fragmentize is, like, debatable because Chalice isn't very good right now, but I don't think we're at a point where Fragmentize is playable. This isn't Vintage, and I don't even think Fragmentize is really playable in Vintage anymore, although I only passively dabble in Vintage, so I can't really say. Teferi, this card, everybody hates this card. It's easier, you're a Tundra deck, so you're going to play this, and you're going to be sad every time it resolves, and you're going to be sad every time it resolves against you, and then you're in a -3 and draw a card and wonder why this was ever printed. Spirits is a very good deck for this. It used to be a little better when Spellqueller was playable. You may notice there's no Spellqueller in this deck because that card is just not that good in Legacy, unfortunately. It's a little better than it used to be, but well, I'll get back to Spellqueller in a second. First, the rest of the sideboard. Fairy Macabre. I am a Fairy Macabre gamer. I've always been a firm believer in Fairy Macabre. When Reanimator is good, Fairy Macabre's your best friend. When, you know, other kinds of graveyard shenanigans are good, this is really great. Generally speaking, I think you should actually be playing Rest in Peace right now. I already started this league, so I'm 1-0 right now. I beat Blue Red Delver previously, and I will probably chuck those replays. They were on my laptop. I'll probably add them to this video later so I can talk about that match, because I did beat, you know, the Boogeyman format with this deck. And I think it showed off a couple of the strengths that this deck has, which was kind of nice. So yeah, these should probably be Rest in Pieces, but I like Fairy Macabre. I stand for this card. I just like Fairy Macabre. It's come in handy enough times. It hoses Reanimator really well. There's really no Hogak or anything like that in the format. That deck's not really playable anymore. So Fairy Macabre, pretty good. Karakas for Ragavan, also a 21st land against Delver, very nice. Shacklegeist is just an additional answer to Murktide Regent. That's also an idiot that attacks in matchups where you want idiots that attack. Also pretty good against D&T, because D&T's not really playing Sword of Fire and Ice anymore. There's not a whole lot of that stuff, so you can kind of just like poke their Cauldra forever, or whatever the other random things they have. There's a bug flying around my room. Flusterstorm is Flusterstorm. That doesn't really need an explanation. Fleeting Spirit is another new card that's a little weird. This card is, I think, went completely under the radar, but I've resolved this card in some test games, and I'm gonna be real with you, champs. This is a card. So it has white, exile 3 cards from your graveyard, gains first strike, and then you can discard a card to blink it until end of turn. So functionally, this thing is unkillable. It's like the only way anybody ever gets to kill it is if they have more removal spells than you have cards in hand on exactly the turns that you cast it. So I played some games against, like, basically the only way Bant ever beats this is by flashing in Endurance and blocking it. That's kind of the only thing they can really do. Or just, like, produce Uro. But, like, Uro's just not very good against you. You've got Spirit of Labyrinth, so it doesn't draw cards. You've got 8 answers to it that just kill it outright. You also have main deck Grave Hate for it. Like, Uro's just not very good against you. So, like, you generally don't have to worry about Uro ever hitting play. And then once you resolve this with Cavern or you vial it into play, it's pretty much unkillable. It's more or less on Tribe 2-mana True Name Nemesis, which is neat. Plague Engineer still kills it, but there's also not a lot of Plague Engineer in the format right now, which is actually kind of weird. So you don't really need to worry a ton about that. I've been playing 3 of these. I like them a lot in basically any deck that's planning to overload on removal to beat you, because removal spells are just not that great against this thing. It is super, super nice. Big fan of Fleeting Spirit. It's been testing really well for me, and you don't need a whole lot of slots for anti-combo because you're pretty good against combo anyway in game 1. So you have, generally, this deck is trying to beat Delver and Fair decks with my sideboard, and then you just have like a little bit of stuff for Urza Saga. So that's sort of the rundown on this deck and this archetype. I know this is a bit wordy for a rundown, but I don't think this is a deck a lot of people see all that often. So I think there's some stuff here. I think Spirits is worth tinkering with, and it's a pet deck of mine. I play a lot of Spirits. I play it in paper all the time. I've got this mostly foiled out. So I just love Rattlechains. Huge Rattlechains fan. So let's go and see if we can win more than one match in this league. That would be ideal. So, match 1, I don't know if I'm going to be splicing the match 1 stuff into here because I kind of only decided I would record this league when I got home and I was at my parents' house watching football while I played this. So lost game 1 in pretty quick fashion here. Oh, can I view the replays from here? Is that gonna load? Oh wow, it actually will. All right, cool. So I will talk over these in a moment here. I didn't think that would actually work. Let me go ahead and close that. So, boom. Closed out of the whole thing. There it is. So, yeah, I'll go over that in a minute here. I'll just make that like match 2. I've done some weird stuff with spirits in the past. Let me just think of some. I have some like interesting old lists here that I can talk about while we wait for a match to pair. This is like the first spirits list I was playing way back in the day. I don't know if you can see the date this was created. Doesn't look like you can. But way back in the day, I was playing this. This is one of the first decks I played in Legacy. Like, I was a Merfolk player, and then I was like, well, Spirits is just better than Merfolk, so I should just play Spirits. This is around 2018. So I put together blue-white Spirits, and then I was like, gee, I really wish I could draw cards. And then I was like, I should, pick up a Trop so I can play Edric Spymaster of Trust. And then I fell in love with Edric Spymaster of Trust, and now I've, been passively trying to find good Edric decks, but that's sort of where I started with Spirits, and I've been messing around with that ever since. I think that one might have had Vial in it, but I haven't always played Vial in Bant. Sometimes you just go Double Hierarch and you don't play Vial, but that's a different story. Here we are against what's probably Yorion D&T. It's usually what I assume we're playing against. I am inclined to keep one land Vial hands on the play. It's not really as good as it used to be, but when I see Yorion, I'm generally thinking D&T. I'm going to keep this. I don't know if this is necessarily the best thing to be doing. I know I've seen this player before, and I can't quite remember if they play like Yorion, Loam, Bant, etc. nonsense, or if they're a D&T player, but I think they're a D&T player. It's been a while. Well, they're mulliganing, so that's good. The more they mulligan, the more likely it is my Vial will resolve. Alright, well, let's do a Prismatic Ending check. Have ye a Prismatic Ending? I'm going to fetch Tundra, because if my mana gets disrupted in this way in any game, I'm going to lose anyway. Here is Aether Vial. Please resolve. Please? Thank you. Very cool. Alright, I have a lot of idiots. Most of my idiots just kind of attack here, so I do have some. Oh, they are normal. They're like Lone Bant, probably. So my Vial might not necessarily be long for this world. They didn't immediately Prismatic Ending it, so I'm assuming they don't have it. Would love to draw a Cavern or something here. Plains, that works. Plains plays. Alright. They showed me Island. I don't mind him to Turok. No, I'm just gonna wait and flash and route chains and stuff. Actually, no. If they tap out for Prismatic Ending on their turn, that's kind of okay with me. I don't really care. I think I should probably just get on board here, because I want this Rattle Chains to blank a removal spell. That's going to be really important. So if my opponent counters this, I don't really care. And if they tap out for Prismatic Ending on it, like, that's also fine. That's, like, not the end of the world. They're going to Brainstorm maybe here. They just kind of go Island Pass. So I am not entirely sure what they're doing. Yorion Island Pass is probably Lone Bant. That's what I'm thinking. I've always personally... Ooh, Marsh Flats. That's interesting. Okay. Marsh Flats is not super common in Island Yorion decks, but I'm interested. No play. Okay. Well, we like to see that. Is my opponent going to try to get rid of this in upkeep? No. Good. They know what they're doing. Daze is a good draw. I am going to cast a Supreme Phantom. I'm going to attack you for 2. Now, if it turns out they're secretly a red deck, I'm in good shape against Bolt, which is cool. Are they seriously waiting this long to plow me? No? Okay. They fetched. They cleared the top of their Brainstorm. I will Daze a removal spell here. Well, no, I'll just Rattle Chains a removal spell. We're not beating a board wipe here. At least probably not. I'm probably just going to go in and go hard. If they can set up a Terminus in their 80-card deck, after fetching and clearing the Brainstorm, like, they got me. I'm not going to play around Blind Flip Terminus. I moved. Nothing. Okay. I wish I had a Spirit of the Labyrinth here. That would be so great. Nothing doing there. Not gonna put Rattle Chains into play, and honestly, I'm not even super interested in ticking my Vial up. Because I think uncounterable Rattle Chains is probably gonna be great here. That being said, they didn't counter the Vial, they didn't counter the Supreme Phantom that I cast, they Brainstormed, they fetched away. I can't imagine they kept actual counter magic. I'm gonna go up to 3. You don't generally want to keep a Force in your... And I drew a Force anyway, so I don't really care anymore. Alright. Let's just go ahead and get in here, because they're not representing Endurance. And pass. I don't really feel the need to do anything here. Impetus is on my opponent to find some way to stop this, so that's up to them. Underground Sea. Flash in Hull Breacher. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to daze that. I just don't care about it. Sucks if you have Daze Undoing, but I have multiple levels of counter magic for that, so that's not a huge deal. I also just have a shitload of power. So, I mean, like, if everything I do resolves, which is not necessarily a guarantee, but if everything I do resolves, then I can just kind of... Oh, Belval Strix. Okay, that's less than ideal, but I'm going to plow that. And then put Cemetery Illuminator into play? I could just force this Strix. I kind of don't hate that. Daze is rapidly losing value, and I really just don't want this in play, and I don't think this Force is going to target anything else, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I don't really want to tap my white mana here, and I don't think that Daze is going to do anything. They forced back. That's aggressive. They really, really, really want this Strix to resolve. Well, it's going to. I'm going to try and wait to plow it if I can at all avoid doing so, because I don't want... I'm like fairly certain they have a plow here. They are at 10. They are attacking me. I'm going to go ahead and just yoink that. I have a 4/5, and I have a land on top, which is less than ideal. Do you have... Swords to Plowshares? You have a plow. I have a Rattle Chains. Do you have another Force? They do not. Alright. Well, this is good for me, because now I get to plow their Strix and they're dead. Solitude. Okay, that's fine. They lost a recruiter, so they're like Esper Vile. That's pretty bad for me. Okay, well, this is less than ideal, but they're going to take a ton of damage this turn. I still get to exile a card from their graveyard, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to take 3 here, and then I'm going to just plow their Strix and crash in for a bunch, and then they're going to top deck something maybe, and hopefully die. Bonk. And I'm just going to leave this in play. It's nice to have a fetch in play when you're playing Cemetery Illuminator, so you can clear the top of your library if it's terrible. They drew nothing, and we win. Awesome. It's really good for me to steal a game 1 in this matchup. Esper Vile is, kind of a weird thing to be seeing at this point, but also not a very good matchup for me, so... Definitely good to win that game. They're a Plague Engineer deck. Remember when I said there wasn't a whole lot of Plague Engineer in this format? Here's the one Plague Engineer deck. This deck can tutor for Plague Engineer, which is also less than ideal. So, removing their Aether Vial is very important. The Fairy Time Reveler is probably not good enough on the draw. Disenchant is probably fine. Fleeting Spirit is awkward, but reasonable against Baleful Strix. Daze is good against them because their deck is really clunky. Spirit of Labyrinth is fine. This is fine. I'm probably overboarding here. Maybe the Flaming Spirits aren't actually that good. Shacklegeist is good against what they're doing. Trim Daze on the draw. Spectral Sail is going to be pretty important as a way to draw cards. Cemetery Illuminators I really need in the deck. The Lords are good. These are all good. Maybe trim a land on the draw. They're not going to have non-basic land hate, so I'll probably cut a plains. 19 lands is a bit risky here, but I am on the draw. Do I actually want Disenchant for Vial? I think that's probably too specific. I'm gonna run with this. My game plan here is mostly just rush them down, force a Vial, and then just, like, kill them. And then, like, hopefully don't get Plague Engineered. So, we're gonna see how that goes. This is a hand of Double Cavern, Vial, Daze. This Daze is dead, but I'm still gonna keep this. I'm inclined to keep Double Cavern against a deck with at least some Force of Wills. They don't have a Vial, which is super great for me. I have a Tundra, which I am going to play. Maybe bait something here. Would love to Daze a Baleful Strix. That would make me super happy. They're fetching. Although, realistically, I'd probably let Strix resolve. Oh, there's a Prismatic Ending in that? Okay, that's fine. I don't actually need that. They are playing around Daze. Okay. So, in the interest of Plague Engineer, I'm going to lead on Supreme Phantom here. Because I don't want Plague Engineer to kill my idiots. I'm probably going to Daze. I can't imagine they're actually going to jam Plague Engineer on 3 here into Daze. That seems like a really bad play. They're probably just going to cast a Strix with 1 mana up, if I had to guess. They're fetching again. They're going to play a 3-drop. That I'm just going to Daze literally regardless of what it is. I, honest to God, don't actually care what this 3-drop is. Yeah, I'm dazing it. I don't care what it is. Do you have another day? Do you have a Daze? No, they have nothing. Okay, that is great news for me. I am probably just gonna run out Spirit of the Labyrinth here. Now that I have some Plague Engineer protection. See if I can't just kind of rush them down. Not super thrilled with the 4th land, but they don't have a ton going on. What is this? Recruiter. Okay, so this gets them Soul Herder, probably. Which might not be fast enough. Maybe they get Plague Engineer, but I don't really care, because I have a Lord. They have to show me a Plow before I care about Plague Engineer. And I do have a 2nd Lord, so not super relevant at this time. Apparition. Okay, so I'm just gonna play a Vial and hold up Rattlechains. And just make them really sad. Yeah, here's a Vial. I'm just going to hold up Rattlechains. You can cast your 3-mana Sorcerer Speed removal spell, and then I will cast my Rattlechains, and then you will be sad. Is that a deal? Can I get behind that? Yeah, that resolves. Maybe you'll target my Vial? You target my Vial, you'll get it. Whee! Legacy Staple Rattlechains coming in hot. And that is their whole turn. Cool. Alright, so they did not get... 2nd Vial is not really where we want to be here. They're 11? This is... If they don't block, it's lethal? Alright. Any blockers? Yeah, I'm still gonna do this. I mean, like... Yeah, ship it. Show me what you got. Wow. I'm honestly really surprised we won that. I know that didn't look that hard, but, like, my lifetime win rate against, like, Esper Vial is, with Spirits, is very low. But, I'm thrilled. I mean, definitely feels good. Oh, we found a match already. I was going to go talk about Spellqueller, but looks like we're playing against Everos, who is a streamer and almost always plays Tundra. So, I'm pretty sure he just plays Tundra in this format. Plays Tundra in every format. Does this hand play against Tundra? It's a 1-land Vial hand, which worked out really nice for us last time. This is a beautiful curve. What a beauty. I gamble on one-land vial hands more often than I probably should. I'm fully aware of that, especially against Prismatic Ending, Force of Negation, Force of Will decks, but meh. Mountain. That's not Tundra. What are you doing over there? Well, I drew another vial, so... Draw step. What's this draw step pause? What's this extensive draw step pause? Okay. Is it Red Prison? Do I fetch Plains? What does Mountain Go mean in Legacy in 2021? What does this even mean nowadays? If they just go like Ancient Tomb, Seeming Spirit Guide, Karn, I'm dead, but I don't think I can beat that anyway. I'm just going to go ahead and get a Plains here. I think this is Red Prison. Maybe I'm high rolling, but they are also Turbo F6'd, so I suspect this is Red Prison. And I think Plains Vial is going to be pretty good here. Mountain Go does not mean much else. It could be like Painter, in which case I'm still going to be pretty happy to have basic Plains in play, because they often have Blood Moon. We're going to see how this goes. Surprised to see my opponent not on Tundra. Yep, City. Okay, so Legion Warlock. Okay, yeah, this is just Red Prison. All right, cool. We are pretty well set up to beat this matchup. We have a lot of basics in our deck. We've got 4. I've got 1.5 million vials in my hand, which is cool. I'm gonna just plow this right now. Yeah, I'm just gonna chip the turn. I mean, I got Aether Vials and Spades, so I will eventually be able to Skyclave Apparition whatever their follow-up threat is, assuming my vials don't get shut off. They did play City on 2, which means they probably only get like one other thing if they want to play a land, so I guess they can go like Ancient Tomb, and then they still have 3 mana, but we will see. Surprised to see this person playing Red Prison. I kind of just thought they were a Tundra player through and through. I wonder if they're streaming right now. I've tuned into their stream before. It's a good stream. I recommend it. Usually play Modern, if I remember correctly. They have a dog cam. It's pretty nice. At least they used to when I was there previously. I don't know if they still do, but they had a dog cam when I was last there. They're just going to combat right now. That's interesting. What is your thing of choice? Bone Crusher Giant, hard cast. Interesting choice. I don't know if I agree with that. Alright. I think I still race this. Pretty effectively. So if I draw a land, which I didn't, so I'm just going to play a Vial. I think I just attack for 1 and then pass, and then maybe try to ambush a Goblin token. I feel like there's a Fury in my future, and taking 5 is not the end of the world because I have an Apparition for that Bone Crusher Giant next turn, so I'm just going to attack. I'm not going to block. I'm going to try and ambush Viper something with... Well, ambush Viper something. I'm going to try to ambush something with Supreme Phantom if it comes to that, but I would like to pass the turn with Rattlechains up. It's a general statement. I find that passing the turn with Rattlechains up is a pretty high upside sort of deal. Okay, yeah. I'm pretty happy I passed the turn with Rattlechains up right now. So I'm definitely going to put my Supreme Phantom into play and block one of these things, and if they have a Fury, then they have a Fury, but then I still get to kill a bunch of their stuff next turn, so that's fine. And the Fury only actually gets to kill... Well, no, it'll get to kill multiple things on this board, but... Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and hopefully draw a land. That would be great. Or we can draw our 4th Vial. That works too. That's cool. 4th Vial is totally fine. I'm cool with that. I'm gonna play it. we got vials. Any vialers. Any vialers. This is only a spell, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna attack. And then I'm gonna Skyclave that, block a token, and then call it a day. I got 12 life to play with, so I got some time here. I have a lot of goblins, but I have a pretty quick clock, and I'm going to be able to block pretty effectively fairly soon, so I'm not, like, super concerned about this yet. Are they attacking with everything? Yeah, they're thinking now. Okay, so I am going to Skyclave Apparition this and just get that out of here. And then block a Goblin token, and I can play around Stomp effectively here. Gonna block one of these, take one, and they don't have Fury. Okay, not having Fury is super great for me. So this one will go up to 1, this one will go up to 2, and this one will stay on 3, and then we're just not gonna play the 4th vial, and that's fine. Now I almost want to play the 4th vial, just so I can have multiple vials on 2. So let's think. Rattle Chains. Yeah, I'm cool with just sending in. I really don't want this game to go much longer. And I'm not going to block this next turn. I'm just going to block a token and then take 3. That's fine. So weird to me that they don't have any lock pieces at all. That's kind of odd. I might just block the Rabblemaster, actually. I mean, that's, what, 5 damage? That's kind of a lot. Yeah, I'm just going to block the Rabblemaster. I kind of don't want to die to Fiery Confluence. I'm not going to die to Fiery Confluence anyway. I have a Mausoleum Wanderer. Yeah, I'm winning this race pretty heavily here, and I have so many idiots. I'm just going to go ahead and go to 9, and that's fine by me. They can resolve whatever they want here, even if they don't think they can. So, what is that? Bonecrusher Giant? Yeah, that card's not very good here. That does not play. Okay, they're casting a 5-mana card. Is the Hardcast Fury. Okay. That's pretty good. But they only get to kill, like, one thing here? So that's, like, not that great? I mean, I have to block this. They gotta kill the Lord. I mean, it's a 3/3 double striker. It's pretty good. let's not get ahead of ourselves. It is pretty good. It's definitely not like the end of the world. If I draw like nothing next turn, might be kind of in trouble. I definitely have to block this, but I have enough like stuff going on between the Rattle Chains and the Spirit of the Labyrinth where I'm probably not in terrible shape. It really depends on what else they have, though. I think their correct line is either kill the Apparition and just get a 3/3, or kill the Lord. I mean, obviously, those are like the only two real lines. They're just going to go all in on the Lord. That's fine. Okay. So here we are. I am going to tick one of these up. I'm going to keep this on 2. Tick this one up to... No, that's the 3. Tick this one up to 2. And we're going to draw a Plow. Awesome. Everything is fine. There was never any worry whatsoever. Who was worried about Fury? I wasn't worried about Fury. I have no idea what you're talking about. Fury, as they say, ain't shit. I am going to go to 7. That is fine. What would you like to do, opponent? Would you like to play a lock piece? Would you like to cast another Fury? Because that would be real good. Chalice of Money, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. Everything is fine. I have Rattle Chains up, so I feel okay about my position. I'm not going to do anything with these vials. I should probably set stops on them so they just always know, but I don't really feel like it. Cemetery Illuminator is real good here. I'm going to cast the 4th vial for funny. And then I'm just going to attack. Alright, so Cemetery Illuminator does a great job blocking, and then I have Rattle Chains for anything else that can happen to me, so as long as they don't go like Karn plus Bridge right now, we're probably fine. They did nothing, so I'm going to go ahead and floop my Illuminator into play, and I feel like I always have a land on top Whenever I cast this card, I always have a land on top. Alright, are they dead on board? They are not quite dead on board. They would have been dead on board if I put the Rattle Chains into play, but I didn't really want to, like, go super all in here. Wasteland. Okay, that's not great. I'll do this. And let's just go ahead and get in here. Leave the Spirit of Labyrinth back. I'm going to exile an instant. That's really... These are really the only things I ever kind of need here. They are double blocking. Interesting. That makes sense. I do understand why they would do that. I definitely should have just put the Rattle Chains into play last turn. I don't know why I didn't. Like, what are they going to do? Like, stomp me? They had 3 cards in hand. That was not wise. It's like giving them an extra turn to, like, Karn plus bridge me. Don't think it's going to matter, though. I'm going to block this illusion token if they attack me. I have protected 3 in the air. We should be fine. Fiery Confluence does not work here because I have this Mausoleum Wanderer that I can pump to a 2. They can do like 1 damage each creature and then like 4 upstairs, and that's like theoretically lethal, but I have Rattle Chains, so that doesn't work. That being said, if they have Simian Spirit Guide in hand, I lose. Which is awkward. Shatter Skull Smashing. That's interesting. Well, I'm going to Rattle Chains. I'm actually going to protect the blocker here. Yeah, oh, they just conceded. Okay. Probably would have been better to sack the Wanderer, make them tap, and then protect, because the Wanderer wasn't relevant for lethal. Alright, well, I put Disenchant in my sideboard for a reason. That was definitely Bread Prison. That was definitely the reason. I don't know what you're talking about. Soddle's not very good. Not super great here. Fleeting Spirit is actually not awful, just because, like, being able to give it First Strike and being able to blink it away from removal spells is actually kind of relevant. It's probably better than Spectral Sailor, honestly. How many blue cards do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25. Daze is not ideal on the draw here. I'm going to leave in some, though. Yeah, I don't super like Daze on the draw against Red Prison. I just don't... That's not really how this deck wants to play the matchup. Like, you kind of just want to, like, make as few... You kind of want to let their lock pieces resolve and just make them not matter. You're not really in the business of actually dazing stuff on the draw here. Like, I'm going to leave 1 in just because I'm leaving 1 in, but, like... On the play, it's fine, because you can resolve a Vial or a Wanderer and beat them to death, but, like, on the draw, like, you're really not trying to daze. You really want your lands in play. And they can often play around Daze. They have a lot of mana. Like, this isn't Delver. Your Dazes are not as your Dazes are not as good as Delvers. Like, I feel relatively comfortable cutting Daze a lot of the time. This hand cannot beat Blood Moon or Turnisphere or much of much. This is like Control. I'd Snap Keep this just because it has 2 uncounterable Fleeting Spirits, but this is not. So I'm going to go ahead and go to 6. This is 2 basic islands, and Skyclave Apparition, and Fleeting Spirit, and Wasteland, and Thorsival with no blue card. I don't keep this because there's a basic island in it, but I don't think this hand is very good. I think this matchup is really, really hard to win on 5 cards, regardless of what the 5 cards are, so I'm kind of inclined to just keep any hand that, like, vaguely plays. Ideally, they just, like, run out of Chalice on 1 or something, and I don't care about it. Okay, that's like, the worst-case scenario, because I'm very, very far away from being able to kill that or do anything about it. That's, like, not awful, but I'm probably just going to die to this Legion War boss. Yeah, I'm turbo dead. All right. Yeah, I'm turbo dead. We're turbo dead. I don't have a way to get out of this. Yeah, my 6 was not very good. That was definitely a like hope they chalice me kind of game. And then their hand was just threats. So, note to self. They made no attempt to play around days that game whatsoever, which is relevant for me. I'm going to cut these Fleeting Spirits. They're probably not as good as I think they are. At least not here. Being able to get them first strike is relevant, but you can only do that like once or twice. They block really well, which matters, but... So, actually, I was going to say something about Spellqueller earlier. So Spellqueller used to be good. And by used to be good, I mean there was a very short time where threats in Legacy were a little higher CMC than normal, like before Ragavan. It was like between Karn and Ragavan, that kind of time period. Threats in Legacy were higher CMC than they normally were, and Spellqueller was like pretty good then. The Curse Walkers like raised the CMC of a lot of decks. This hand is incredible. So you were generally incentivized to play Spellqueller. It was pretty good at that time. But the threat CMC is way down right now. And like I'm playing against like the one matchup Spellqueller would still be good against right now. Like this is like the last remaining deck. Note to self, I need a stop, and I do have a stop on Everest's main phase. Okay, that's good. I did that. Chromox is fine. Notably, I probably let Trinisphere resolve. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to plow that. Just right out the gate. Just get that out of here. I might disenchant this Chrome Box, honestly. Or I can just Wasteland my opponent. That seems good, too. I'm going to maybe Teferi bounce their Chrome Box. Kind of more into that. I like having a threat here. Actually, you know what? They probably have... They probably have another threat. But I'm just going to force it pitching Teferi. That's probably what's happening here. Fireflux Squad. Exile another attacking creature you control. Yeah, just get out of here. Fuck off. I don't want you. Alright. Let's just go ahead and put Rattle Chains into play. Now, I probably save this Disenchant for something else, but I might... Yeah, I'm probably just going to save this Disenchant at this point. They have the mana to do whatever they want. It's not, like, super important. Do they have a third threat? They have another Chrome Mox. Do they have a Hardcast Fury? Can we just disenchant this Chrome Mox right now? Hardcast Fury is pretty bad for me. I don't know if that's right. But I really don't want my opponent to Hardcast Fury here. I just have another Firefall Squad. Okay, that's fine. They might have just been playing around days, in which case that didn't matter, but meh. Alright, I do need a way to, like, kill this. That's relevant later, but doesn't do it now. Don't have 6. Let's see how many threats they have. If they have another threat, it's bad. If they don't have another threat, it's fine. If they do have another threat, that's really bad. We're probably dead now. Unless this flips into a Simian Spirit Guide, we're probably dead. Legion Warboss. Okay, that's very bad. Yeah, unfortunately, we just don't have that many removal spells. We have a Plow. That's something. The second basic island is not doing me any favors here. I'm going to Plow that. Block one of these things. Skyclave Apparition the other one, hopefully next turn, and then we'll see where we're at. If you have another threat, we're in trouble. Gonna block the Rabble Master because it's the most damage. That is a lot of damage. We might not get a chance to do anything else. Actually, I don't think it's going to matter, because I'm pretty sure we're just dead anyway. Trinisphere, yeah, it doesn't matter at this point. Alright, white source. That's a white source. Unfortunately, it's a fetch land, which means we're pretty dead anyway. And I'll go ahead and play this, but I don't think it matters. Yeah, because then I have to block, and then they get a 3-3, and then I'm dead anyway. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. That's how this matchup kind of goes. If they draw more threats than you have answers, like, their threats win the game on their own, and yours kind of don't, so... That's fine. Spirits are not particularly good at blocking, which is relevant. They block... Well, some of them block well. Supreme Phantom blocks pretty well. Cemetery Illuminator blocks pretty well. The rest of them kind of don't. What other spirits lists? Yeah, this is the forbidden card. We don't talk about Galactic Company. It's not real. This is an old Jeskai Spirits list that I was playing. Where is it? That's Reanimator. Where's Jeskai Spirits? Come on. Yeah, I've gone through a lot of iterations of this over time, as you can tell by Jeskai Spirits 5, and then some Jeskai Spirits from Strixhaven. This list was funny. I was playing that for a while, and that was a good time. Word Juice Box. In present-day Legacy 2021, I have a tendency to just evaluate hands on how good they are against Delver in the blind when I see a name I don't recognize. And I kind of like just like 2 basic lands, Plow, Lord, Spirit of the Labyrinth, blind against unknown, possibly Delver players, so I'm just going to keep this. Savannah. Retrofitter Foundry. Huh. Neat. Here's my Flooded Strand. Go ahead. I have an answer to that, which is good. I also have an answer to Depths, which is good. I don't have an answer to that, which is less than ideal. I have a Rattle Chains. So I'm probably just going to play the Supreme Phantom out here. Am I fetching basics? I think these 2 should be basics, and the next one can be a Tundra, because I really need to resolve Skyclave Apparition. Spirit of the Labyrinth is unlikely to have relevant text. I'm going to hold up Rattle Chains. Okay. I think my opponent is like Bant Loam that just drew Savannah. But we're going to see. Ideally, they like plow this. They don't get a construct this turn. That would be great. If they force it, that's also like fine. I have a ton of lords to control the saga things. It's my draw step. Okay, they didn't do anything. I'm gonna go ahead and not attack you. That would be bad. Although if I attack and they make a thing block and then I put Supreme Phantom into play, that's like fine for me because then they wasted a ton of mana on nothing. Kind of don't hate that. Let's see if they go for it. They didn't. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of this Retrofitter Foundry right now. Just like not interested in dealing with that. I resolved. Okay. Cool. Opponent decided they wanted a construct instead of anything else, which makes a whole lot of sense. They do have Tundra, so this is just like Bant Loam that drew Savannah. Okay, that makes sense. Which means I should probably get one of these Spirit of the Labyrinths into play, like, kind of sooner rather than later. These constructs are going to get pretty large pretty fast here. Do they have a second? They have a Mox Diamond. Okay, so this is most definitely just Bant Loam. Do they actually have the aforementioned Loam? They do. Okay, that's just a prismatic ending on the least important card on the board. That's fine. Okay, yeah, I'm cool with all of this. This is all totally fine. I'm gonna go ahead and plow the untapped construct and just play a Lord and then get in for 3 because I'm not gonna block that. Alright, so I really want to draw a land so I can play Spirit of the Labyrinth and a Supreme Phantom. They have Jace? Okay, that's fine. I have Spirit of the Labyrinth for those. It's not ideal if they, like, draw... like a plow. But I mean, they probably have a plow anyway. Really love to draw land so I can double spell. Double spelling next turn, I get the sense is going to be very important. If they just, like, tap their mana for something that's not relevant right now, that would be swell. Tropical Island. Oh, they're just going to play Ponder? They didn't attack with anything. Okay, that's really, really good for me. And I drew a land. Alright, so let's go ahead and play a Spirit of the Labyrinth. They fetch, so they don't know what's on top of their library. Yeah, that's fine. I have another one. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and ping Jace. Because they can just unsummon this, so... Let's see what they rip. Nothing? Okay. They can just unsummon the Sottle if they really want to. They can also just Fate Seal themselves. That's fine. Caracas. Okay, I don't really care about that. Jace is pretty under control at this point. I have a Wasteland, which I'm going to save for Urza's Saga reasons. I'm just going to run out all my idiots here. I'm going to bait with another Sottle. Awesome. That's not the card I wanted here, so I'm going to play this. And then I'm going to go ahead and attack Jace. Leave that back. Yeah, I kind of still want to kill Jace here. They don't have any cards in hand. They don't know the top card of their library. They double block. That's fine. You can have a 1-1. I don't really care about your 1-1. That's okay with me. Alright, yeah, this is all fine. They can Fate Seal again, but that's whatever. They're Fate Sealing themselves. Don't actually know what they did. Okay, Flooded Strand. Alright. Rattle Chains. That's a good one. Alright. Let's go ahead and Jace you. Alright, Jace down. Sick. Do you have Terminus? No. What was your top card? Boop. Bonk. Rattle Chains. Whee! Top deck Rattle Chains is honestly one of my favorite parts of this deck. You draw that and you just feel so safe. Alright, opponent is playing Urza's Saga shenanigans. We want these disenchants. We want those other things. This is about, this is a strong, this matchup's a pretty strong argument against Faerie Macabre because I kind of wish I had Rest in Peace here. I would definitely be playing Rest in Peace right now if I had it. I'm going to play Fleeting Spirit for sure. Daze seems awful here, especially on the draw. Plus, Shacklegeist, it's an answer to Endurance. Endurance is definitely a card I have to worry about here. I have 8 answers. I have 12 answers to Endurance, effectively, in Plow, Skyclave, and just like forcing it. Teferi is like a soft answer to Endurance where it kind of does something. I have 4 cards to cut. The Lords are relatively low impact here because they just attack. But they do, you know, actually like get my opponent dead much faster, so that's probably fine. Definitely want these. Teferi I want. Disenchant I want. Forces actually just seems pretty medium here. Like, they're probably gonna have, they might have Veil of Summer. I don't know if Veil of Summer is really what they would bring in against me, but they might have it. There's just like not a whole lot they could have that I actually want to force. Like, if they have a board wipe, it's going to be Supreme Verdict, and I can't force it anyway. I'm not really interested in forcing single point removal because I'm really interested in Rattle Chains for that. Don't try this at home, kids. Oh, Karaka should come in over the plains. Oh, well, I already hit Submit. Whatever. As you can see, I put a lot of thought in my sideboarding. Definitely my favorite part of the game. Alright, the Cavern of Souls curve keep. Cavern of Souls with a curve, and a Disenchant if they have an Urza Saga. Like, whatever. Oh, they have a Mox Diamond? So you're telling me I get to Stone Rain you? Or I get to Disenchant that? I am about it. Ooh, and I get to play Vial on turn 1? Wow. So kind. Absolutely loving this. Alright. Let's go. If my opponent plays an Urza Saga... It's like an Uro? Yeah, that's fine. Pretty far away from actually being able to do anything with that. And I do have a Plow for it, so I'm like not super worried about that. Okay, they didn't do anything with it. So I'm like, Uro is not a super scary card for this deck. Wasteland is cool. I kind of like... The odds of them being able to put Uro into play next turn are basically none. So I'm going to just go ahead and take this off the table right now. And then just pass. And then just have this Mausoleum Wanderer up. And then I'm going to go ahead and Wasteland this. And then we'll see where we're at. So they have Loam, it's bad. They just have another Uro. Okay, that's fine. They're just like not... They're pretty unlikely to actually be able to get to do Uro stuff this game, I think. Because they're just not going to have very many lands in play. I'm definitely going to go like Scorched Earth on their ass out here. Alright. Soddle is a great draw. Let's get that out of here. Let's attack. No Plow, nothing. Okay, we'd like to see that. Now you're plowing. Okay. There's creatures in the graveyard already, so I'm gonna just let that gain me a life. Hopefully they just like cast a Brainstorm here or something. That would be great. Alright, well I'm gonna put the Spirit of the Labyrinth into play anyway. Now I'm probably just gonna Skyclave Apparition your Mox Diamond. Especially if I draw like Rattle Chains here. Okay, we didn't draw Rattle Chains, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and Skyclave Apparition that Mox Diamond. Oh, they just let that happen. That's interesting. Alright, well. Cool. You drew Prismatic Ending for my Vial? Weird. I feel like that's not the highest priority thing on this board. By, like, a lot. Also, I drew a really good card here. I mean, a lot of my cards are good when my opponent doesn't have any blue mana, but this is just going to exile all their Uros. I swear to God, every single time this resolves, I have a land on top of my library. Uro be gone. They have a prismatic ending again for Skyclave, but it's like too little too late. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. They drew like mono prismatic ending, which is totally okay with me. I have mono planes. Cemetery Illuminator, not doing a ton at the moment, but it did exile all their Uros, which is nice. So this Flooded Strand is actually not too bad. It means I'm probably going to get to draw a card off of this thing next turn. Okay, they still don't have anything. Alright, so we get to do this. We get to do this. Let's go ahead and do this correctly here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 6U. Exile Plow. Ooh boy. Alright. I'm gonna fetch on their turn and clear this wasteland, because if I find like a Rattle Chains, I definitely want to cast it. They also might just be dead, because I just like... Okay, they have an Urza Saga, that's way too little too late to matter. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, opponent's deck has interesting mana. They're not playing Yorion, so basic forest, basic plains, presumably more than one Urza Saga, Mox Diamond. I guess Mox Diamond patches their mana, but like didn't have to do very much mana disruption for their game plan to pretty much just fall apart there. Like it was just wasteland and kill your Mox Diamond, and they just like didn't get to play. So, a lot of these, like a lot of the blue soup decks are just like doing too many things. I feel like you just because you can doesn't mean you should, you know. Like just because you can play Urza Saga in your 3-color deck doesn't necessarily mean it's in your best interest to do so. Like there's a lot of reasons in Legacy to just play a deck with consistent mana. People always say that basic lands are super great. Okay, so this person was playing Test when I played against them yesterday when I was playing Taiga Vial, which is a deck I highly recommend it nobody play unless you are super into that kind of thing. I'll probably play it. I'll probably record a league with it at some point. It's a lot of fun, but it's not very good. Okay. Thinking... Yet another one-lander. My opponent is playing Tess. I'm like 99% sure my opponent's on Tess. This is a double Wanderer hand, but yeah, I kind of just want a hand that like does stuff. Okay, this hand doesn't really do anything, but I'm going to keep this. I'm bottom the plains. I have a Vial on one. If I show them Tundra, they're probably not going to try and kill me right away. Sottle is like pretty good against them. It's not game winning, but it's like a thing you can do. Oh, they're playing Oops. We are super dead. Super duper dead. Okay, yeah, we are unbelievably dead. The good news is I have Fairy Macabre on my board, and Fairy Macabre is very good in this matchup. So, do you have the thing? Dark Ritual, I'm just going to concede to your thing. Oops lists are kind of all the same at this point. Yeah, save time. I should probably let that resolve and see what their list is, but at the end of the day, I just don't really care. Don't really care. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Oops, all spells. Flusterstorm, no, Flusterstorm doesn't really do anything. Teferi doesn't really do anything either. Fairy Macabre's great. Disenchant has some text. Actually, Flusterstorm has, like, at least a little bit of text. Teferi Time Raveler bounces a Chrome Mox. Would have, if I, didn't concede too early and actually looked at their deck, could have seen if they had Chrome Mox. They almost certainly do. Alright, and we board out basically anything that's not a blue card. These are not blue cards. These are not blue cards. Then I'll trim like a Skyclave Apparition because it's slow. Alright. Interestingly, that double Mausoleum Wanderer hand probably might have been good enough that game. This is no lands. This is Force Blue, Wanderer on 1. Yeah, this is Force Blue card plus Wanderer on turn 1. I'm definitely keeping this. Bottom the Vial. Actually, go bottom the Skyclave. Nah. I'm gonna go ahead and pretend I have Daze by playing the Soft Tundra on turn 1. Now, Oops has plenty of ways to just like kill you, so this is not necessarily a lock, but I definitely feel pretty good with Mausoleum Wanderer plus Force blue card in hand. Like, the most likely thing that kills me here is just like Pact Negation with an extra mana. Chrome Mox. That's a target for Skyclave Apparition. Petal. Dark Ritual. Thoughtseize. I'm actually gonna... Mausoleum Wanderer disrupts their combo if they don't have an extra mana, so I'm actually gonna let that happen. Oh, they sent another Dark Ritual. Okay, we're just dead. Yeah. Yep. That's Oops All for you. Yeah, sometimes they just kill you turn 1 with Disruption, and you're just like, okay. Alright, that's a 3-2. Which is generally what I do with Spirits, honestly. 3-2's like it means it. So, this deck is, as I kind of said before, I think this deck is aggressively medium. I don't think it's, like, that great. I enjoy it. I love this deck to death. I think it's a ton of fun. I don't think this deck is super great. Oh, before I do my ending thing, I can show off the match that I... Oh man, where do I go and find that? I don't... I played it on my laptop, so I don't know if I can actually go and find it. So like if we're talking and clicking at the same time. Well, whatever. I'll record more of this deck later anyway. So, yeah, this is Spirits. I think this deck is aggressively medium. I don't think it's actually that great. It's just a lot of fun. Rattlechains is always a riot. This is a very powerful tribal payoff card. Huge fan of it. Mausoleum Wanderer is also fun. I definitely enjoy this card. I think it is powerful in this format. There's a lot of instant sorceries running around. It's good against combo. I mean, I died to Oops, but that was a pretty good Oops draw, not gonna lie. You get to play Plow, you get to play Force, you get to play Wasteland. Plow, Force, Wasteland, always good. Your clock is quick. Your dudes hit hard. Spirit of Labyrinth is great. Skyclave Apparition is great. Cavern of Souls is great. You get to play a lot of really good cards here. Spirits doesn't have to play a bunch of like underpowered medium cards anymore. Spectral Sailor is like the closest to like an underpowered medium card that's like not super great. I like this card personally. I didn't draw it at all this entire league, so you can't really tell what it does. But like when you actually get to draw cards off this, it's pretty good. That being said, Usher of the Fallen is probably a little better. If you're playing extra basics, like if you're down some Tundra, if you're not playing Cemetery Illuminator and if you're playing Skyclave Apparition and Cemetery Illuminator, I think you need 3 or 4 Tundra. If you're playing either or, I think you can get away with more basics and not as many Tundra. So that's that. What was I saying about? Yeah. So you can play Ascendant Spirit in this slot. If you have extra basics, that's like okay. Usher of the Fallen is a 2/1 that has some trinket text that makes tokens. That's like fine. 1-drop pickings for Spirits has always been kind of slim. There's not like a ton of super stellar options for that, and that's just kind of how it is in the archetype. It's one of the weaknesses of the deck. It's what I think the deck really needs. The deck needs like a real good banger 1-drop still. That's not Mausoleum Wanderer. Some people are playing this deck with more 1-drops. They're playing... I've seen Usher of the Fallen is a 3 or 4 up. I think Repo Cheap is playing that many. And I think that's fine, but I think that the 1-drops are underwhelming enough by themselves where you generally want to stack up your 2s better. Your 2s are good. Spirits has a lot of really good 2s. And there's also some great 2s that I'm not really playing here. Like Shacklegeist is honestly very good in Legacy. I know it's kind of a weird looking card, but it's very good in this format. I like it a lot. Very funny. When you tap like an Emrakul at a Sneak and Show with Shacklegeist and you win the game because of that, you kind of don't really go back. So Shacklegeist is main deckable. It's nice because it's also an on-tribe thing that like soft answers a Murktide. I played a lot of my main deck during the Dreadhorde Arcanist days, and it was pretty good at just like bonking a Dreadhorde over and over again while I could get my footing. Not that Delver was a good matchup for me then, but it was something. Spirits excels in local metas where you know there's a lot of combo or prison. Like in my local meta in paper, there's a lot of prison decks, and I get to play Spirits into them, and it's great. I love doing that. So if you have a lot of prison in your meta, a lot of combo. I know I lost a prison in combo this league, and I beat fair decks, which is not what normally happens with spirits. Normally it's the other way around, but that's generally when I recommend playing it. Um, at the risk of saying things twice, things I would change. I like Fairy Macabre, but I think I probably want to split a Fairy Macabre and Rest in Peace right now. 3 Fleeting Spirits is probably too many, so I would probably turn these into Rest in Pieces. And I think I'd probably run it with that. I think the next league I play with this and record is probably going to be something along those lines. So we'll see. This is the first recording of a league I've ever done, so feel free to let me know if the audio is screwed up or whatever. I honestly have no idea. I didn't actually check. So hopefully everything's fine. I am Utopia Mycon, and thank you for watching this Legacy gameplay. See you later.